Hey, I'm Steph.
I'm Alex.
And this is Not Today, our true survival story podcast where we talk about true survival stories. You know.
You know. Just like the title says.
Just like it says. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened since last time?
Oh my God. We got a baby.
We have a baby.
We have Crumb. And, it turns out that having a puppy is like having an actual baby. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that before, but I didn't
dismissed it.
No, it's not that I dismissed it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it to my core. I was like, oh yeah, of course it's a baby. She's an actual baby. So of course it feels like a baby, but oh my God, it's insane. And she requires a lot of energy and attention all the time.
Yep.
And last week and clean up. And last week I was not prepared. So that was unfortunate, but I'm excited to be back.
And that is why we didn't post last week.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
We apologize. However, we have a baby.
Yes. And she's gorgeous. She's so pretty. I can post a picture of her.
We should post a picture of Crumb.
She's adorable.
She looks like a little Wookiee.
Yes. She's the most beautiful puppy I've ever seen, and she's everything that I ever could have wanted and more.
Yeah. She's a little 2-pound Shih Tzu.
Oh, look, you added some flair to that.
Yeah, you like
Shih
that?
Tzu.
Yeah, because I feel like it's actually like Shih Tzu.
Yeah, I think so.
But people say Shih Tzu.
That's true.
But yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And she's
what she is.
She's romping around right now on my lap.
Yeah, trying to keep her from.
Let's see if she wants to get a feature.
Oh, can she sniff? Can you hear it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can hear it. Yeah, that's Crumb.
That's her.
She,
beep beep.
She
hey,
Crumb.
Amazing.
So.
Well, I know everyone is anxious to get back into the story, and we have quite the long part again.
Well, we left on quite a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah,
and then
we did.
We skipped a week.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sorry about that for anyone who's waiting.
You did the audience dirty.
I really did. I did the damn thing. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, you want to just hop back into the.
So remind me and everyone else of the situation that we left off in.
Oh, okay, yeah. So where we left off is Gypsy has let Nick into her home, and she has supplied him with gloves and a knife, and she has basically told him to murder her mother. And that's where we left off.
Normal things.
Yeah. Just coupley things. Just true love things. Yeah, so that's where we left off. And I'm actually going to do you dirty a little bit again and just go back just a second just to say a few things. So I just wanted to really drive this home. So according to medical records, Dee Dee brought Gypsy to local hospitals over 100 times between 2005 and 2014.
So over 9 years, 100.
Yeah, just so many visits.
So how many per week is that? It's
no idea. So many.
So 100 over 9 years, basically more than 10 a year.
Probably.
So she's bringing her at least about every month, probably.
Yeah, I mean they were regulars at the hospital. There. They knew everyone by name and whatever. But anyway, I just thought that was something I wanted to throw in there.
Insane.
And so. Gypsy, I don't know if you as the listener are familiar with Disney at all or the story of Tangled, but it's actually really close to Gypsy's situation.
Tangled?
Yeah, so Gypsy said her favorite Disney movie is Tangled, and it's about a Princess Rapunzel being taken away from her real family and held in a tower for all of her life by Mother Gothel, and the tower is all she knows, and at the end Mother Gothel falls out of the tower because Rapunzel tried to stand up for herself and tried to leave the tower, and she said she learned that life isn't a fairy tale the hard way. These are Gypsy's words. But if you think about it, that's really close. She's taken away from her dad and her family and everyone that can potentially help her. And, Mother Gothel is Dee Dee and she's kept in this tower or this house. And she, it's so weird that I don't know. I thought it was creepy.
Yeah. Also, I've always thought why is a princess locked in a castle? Such a common fairy tale.
I don't know, but
what the fuck kind of existence. Like, it just, like...
Well, that's Gypsy's existence.
Well, I know, but, like, why is that, like, what Disney sells children?
Well,
like, oh, yeah, this woman was enslaved and locked in a room for about 20 years.
Yeah, I mean...
And then, you know, this guy comes and, you know, she has to leave with him, you know?
Right.
She's got no other options.
Yeah,
Her options are rather limited at
Right.
this one-room stop in this
Right.
castle in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rabbit hole that we would have to go down
okay, I'm
in
sorry,
another...
But, like, I'm just, you know...
Yeah, no, I know.
What the fuck, Disney?
For sure. No, for sure. But that's, you know, that's a whole separate matter. But I just thought it was funny that they're, like, the similarities between the two stories. It's kind of crazy.
True.
But yeah, so I in the last episode, I wasn't sure if their plan to murder Dee Dee happened before or after their movie theater meeting. And it did happen before the movie theater. Like, she confided in Nick about what was going on between her and Dee Dee, and, you know, and the idea of killing her was like, you know, born before, but it wasn't something that they were...
It was born.
Yeah, they weren't, like, actively pursuing that idea. So the idea of killing Dee Dee all started with a conversation where Nick basically said that he would protect Gypsy from anything, and then Gypsy asked if he would protect her from her mother, and he said yes. And actually, Gypsy and Nick had 3 separate plans. There was plan A, which was the movie theater, and it was the plan to meet Nick, you know, for the first time in front of Dee Dee, and, you know, then they could start a relationship from there, hopefully, because Dee Dee would, you know, approve of it. And then obviously that didn't work. So then there's plan B, which is murder Dee Dee, because that's the logical next step.
So there was 2 plans.
No, there's 3.
Oh, what's plan C?
Plan C was for Gypsy to get pregnant with Nick's child.
Why is plan B murder?
I don't know.
It would seem that plan C might be more practical.
Right.
A little more, less extreme.
Right.
Seems like
Yeah.
Seems like we went from, like, level 2 to 10 back down to, like, 5.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's true. That's what I thought too. But I just thought that was funny,
Yeah,
so I had
logic is not there.
Yeah. And so the plan of murdering Dee Dee was always a thought, but it wasn't something they acted on quickly, obviously. They wanted to explore their other options, but the thought started there and then just continued to grow. So after their meeting at the movie theater, Gypsy and Dee Dee apparently had a big fight, even though she and Nick didn't even actually interact in front of Dee Dee. Dee Dee just said she was, like, showing him too much attention. I think she was, like, talking to Dee Dee about Nick, and, you know, Dee Dee didn't like that. And she punished Gypsy after this whole incident, and Gypsy said she got jealous because I was spending a little too much attention on him. She had ordered me to stay away from him. And needless to say, that was a very long argument that lasted a couple of weeks, yelling, throwing things, calling me names, bitch, slut, whore. And Gypsy went from looking at her mother like a loving parent to seeing her as someone that she was really afraid of. And then at that moment, that was when she felt like there was really no hope. And she kept thinking, dear God, get me out of here somehow. So then, you know, so the plan of murder as an idea happened before the movie theater, but, like, the actual, like, consideration of it being a real thing happened, like, pretty much directly after plan A didn't work, because
Right.
plan B is just the logical next step.
Right. Murder.
So that being said, let's get back to where we left off. So
Please.
yeah, so this is now June 10th, 2015, around 3 a.m. So Gypsy and Dee Dee had a fight that night, like I said, or actually in the last episode I said that. And something a little spooky that happened that I don't think I mentioned in the last episode. The last words that Dee Dee ever said to Gypsy was, "Don't hurt me."
Really?
Isn't that creepy? Because she was having
why?
because they were fighting, and I think Dee Dee was just like, "Don't hurt me," meaning, like, don't, you know, betray me, or don't, like, go against my word. But she said, "Don't
Wow.
hurt me," and those were her last words right before she was murdered.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say it was a bit late for her.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a good person, but I just thought it was creepy.
She's not a great person.
No.
And also, like, the plans have been made. Dee Dee.
That's true.
Well before.
Yeah, Nick is very much already in Springfield.
Yeah, he's already, he's got a knife and some gloves.
Yeah.
And your daughter has, like, decades of rage.
Right.
Built up inside of her.
Yes. So that's what she said right before she went to bed. And then as she went to bed, these are the text exchange between Gypsy and Nick the night of the murder. Is she good? Did you hear that?
Crumb is not happy being in my lap.
Yeah, she sounds like a squeaky toy.
She really does.
I don't know if you heard that on the audio, but she made a tiny little squeak. Well, maybe put her in her playpen. Okay, Crumb is taken care of. Let's get back. So these are the text exchanged between the two of them. So Gypsy texted Nick, "I left the gloves outside the front door and the screen door is squeaky, so try to open it just enough to get in and close it gentle. I'll hand you the knife and the duct tape is inside, darling. I'm doing my nails too. I'm painting them a dark pink."
What? And in addition to an accomplice to murder, I've painted my nails pink.
I think she was saying that because it was like, you know, they're into the whole role-playing thing, and it was probably like an exciting thing. But anyway, so yeah.
Dude, I seriously think that's the last thing Nick gives a fuck about.
Well, obviously, but that's just part of the text, so I had to throw it in there. So
that is ridiculous.
It's really funny. But so then Nick says, "I'm here, and you get your ass to the bathroom. You open the door." And then Gypsy says, "Yes, sir. I'm going now, sir."
Oh.
Yep. So Gypsy then went to the bathroom, got into the fetal position, and covered her ears and locked the door because this is now when this is going to happen.
Wait, I'm sorry. So did she let him in?
So she said that he could let himself in. The door was unlocked, but just to make sure, because it would to be careful because it's a squeaky door. So she left all the things out that he needed, like the knife and the gloves, and basically unlocked the door and then went into the bathroom and locked herself in.
And is sitting in the fetal position?
Mm-hmm.
And covering her ears.
Correct. So that's what she's doing.
Wow.
So then Nick then comes inside.
Right.
And basically just goes right to Dee Dee's room and starts stabbing her.
As one does.
Right. Casual. So Gypsy said from the bathroom she heard her mom wake up. She said that Dee Dee sounded startled. And then there were a few noises.
Yeah, no shit. She started being stabbed and sound, a bit startled.
She was just a bit taken aback.
Just a bit startled by the whole experience.
So she then heard Dee Dee call out her name, Gypsy's name, a couple of times and called out for help. And, obviously there was screaming and then there was just silence. That's what Gypsy said she heard. And it was a gruesome murder. Nick had stabbed Dee Dee multiple times in the back and then slashed her across the back of the neck. So it was not like a
slow.
Yeah,
it was not a quick death.
No, I mean it might have been quick because of all the puncture wounds. Maybe she bled out quickly, but it was very bloody and like there was a lot going on.
Sure.
So after finishing murdering Dee Dee, Nick comes to the bathroom and tells Dee Dee or tells Gypsy that he's done, and they go to Gypsy's room and they have sex. They then wiped down the place for fingerprints, packed up, and got a taxi to the Days Inn motel. The whole ordeal probably took around 3 hours to clean up and their whole
fuck.
So to put it frankly, so they tried to get Gypsy a ticket on the Greyhound bus Nick had already gotten a ticket for, but there was no space on that bus, so Gypsy had to get a ticket for the next day, or they both had to get a ticket for the next day, and then they went back to the Days Inn motel, spent another night there, and then the next day got on a Greyhound bus to go back to Big Bend.
Wait, where are they going back to?
Back to Nick's family's house in Wisconsin? Yes, Wisconsin. I feel like every time I'm confused about a location, I'm always like, Wisconsin?
Yeah. I mean...
It's always Wisconsin, Minnesota, one of the two.
Yeah, what was episode 2? It was Illinois, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But...
Minnesota.
Right.
It's Midwest. General Midwest.
It's the Midwest. But this was Wisconsin. So on June 12th, they took the Greyhound bus to Nick's parents' home in Big Bend, Wisconsin. And Gypsy said during this time with Nick, she felt very excited and happy. She was able to spend some time with someone that she loved, and she was walking and she was free. And she said that her time with her mother feel like a little bluebird that was trapped in an invisible cage, and now she felt like she had been set free. They planned on starting a family together and fully believed that they had a chance to have a future together. They were having conversations about Gypsy, about what she should wear to like impress his family and, you know, just things of that nature, and not really understanding the gravity of what they had done or, you know, what could happen in the future. And when asked about what she planned to do once she got to his home, she said she planned on staying with Nick forever there. The thought that they might get caught really never crossed her mind. So,
really,
yeah, like this is not.
I just think that, you know, this is
yeah. They're
something
like,
you can cover up easily.
They're like, the perfect murder, because we killed her. They don't know about Nick. And then Gypsy's just a missing person, and she'll just remain a missing person.
Because, text messages just don't ever, they get deleted immediately.
I guess they didn't know.
It's just like Snapchat, actually.
Right.
Because Snapchat is a thing in 2015.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Like 2015, wow. It's not even like early 2000s where you're like, oh, I didn't know that you could trace my, whatever. But it's 2015. Yeah. Like, hello?
That's a little too recent. That's like, it's almost, what was episode 4 with something that happened in 2019?
Oh, was that Jamie Kloss?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just too close.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't make sense that they didn't know that they could, be tracked through their computer like interactions. Although I guess they didn't, because they truly didn't think they were going to get caught.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it because she literally, while she is like, what, 20 at this point? 20-ish?
Yeah, 23
she,
maybe.
Like, has developed as a 14-year-old.
Right. I mean, she spent her entire life underneath Dee Dee's. And the thing is like, Dee Dee didn't even allow her to have any sort of like social media or anything outside of, she had a shared Facebook page with Dee Dee. So there was a Facebook page that was titled like Dee Gyp or something like that. Like it was like a combination of Dee Dee and Gypsy, and it was the two of them like that's combined.
Too funny. She's starting her rap career.
Yeah, right.
Dee Gyp.
Yeah.
Dropping mixtapes 2015.
I'd listen. Anyway. So Gypsy wanted to make sure that Dee Dee's body would be found. She said that Gypsy wanted Dee Dee's body to be found because she it's still her mother. This is a whole complicated situation. She still loves her. She still wants her body to be found and, properly buried, I guess. And she said, I couldn't stand the thought of her just there, because what happens if it would have taken months to find her? So I wanted her found so she could have a proper burial. So
I have to break it to you that the earlier they find the body,
the easier it is.
It is to track you.
Right. But I mean, clearly they're not hip and with it with the
forensic. Not, but I would like to make that comment.
That's true. You're not wrong. So on this combined Facebook page, on June 14th, Gypsy posted a status that said, "That bitch is dead." She posted, "That bitch is dead," and then people
dumb hoe.
Well, so then her friends and neighbors and whoever followed that Facebook page were commenting like, is everything okay? What's going on? Like, people were really confused. And then she commented underneath that same post, like in the comments on it, it said, "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so fucking loud. LOL."
This is on Nick's page?
No, this is on Dee Dee and Gypsy's combined Facebook page.
Wow, that's not concerning.
Right. And it was Gypsy who posted it. It wasn't Nick. She was pretending to be Nick or whoever, this murderer was. Fuck? But she just, her reasoning behind it was she wanted Dee Dee to be found. And I guess she wanted to make it look sinister.
Wait, so this is how she gets Dee Dee found is by like subtweeting on Facebook that that bitch is dead and
Pretty
she
much.
squealed so loud.
Yeah.
Why would you not just like put in an anonymous tip?
Right.
Hello?
Yeah. I mean, they're not really thinking things through too well.
I understand that, but I still need to bring up that fact that this is dumb as shit.
You're not wrong.
Like, that bitch is dead. And by the way, she squealed really loud when I stabbed her.
And I raped her innocent daughter.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Yep. So
This is fucked.
yeah. So the, friends and neighbors called the police, and
Obviously.
right. And so the police gathered outside their home with the friends and the neighbors, and noticed that Dee Dee's like car that she used to transport Gypsy with her wheelchair. So like this, basically Gypsy wouldn't have been able to leave without this car. So they were like, they're going to go in there and find both Gypsy and Dee Dee dead.
Right.
So they found the car in the driveway, and sorry. So the search warrant didn't come through until around 10:30 that night, and they found Dee Dee in her bedroom once it did come through.
Wait, so when did they murder her? What time?
Around 3 a.m, but this was like a couple days prior.
So this is 2 days later, 10 p.m.?
Yeah, about 2 days later.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gypsy's neighbor, Aaliyah, or however you pronounce her name, who she confided in Nick about, told the police that Gypsy and Nick had a relationship, and the police were able to obtain his IP address from Facebook and track him and Gypsy down at his home in Wisconsin. It literally took like no time to find them. So
Dum dum dum
right.
dum
dum dum dum dum. So yeah, that took literally no time. And meanwhile, Nick's mother picked them up from the bus station, and she didn't know anything about what had happened. She had known Nick was dating Gypsy and agreed to let her stay with them, but didn't know anything beyond that. Nick had told his mother that Gypsy was kicked out of the house and was living in a homeless shelter. So
wow.
Yeah.
Just like this sweet old lady.
Yeah. So on the drive home from the station, she actually asked Gypsy how her mother was doing, because Nick was telling them that like they didn't have a really good relationship, and obviously she's thinking, oh, this mother kicked her daughter out of their house, so like, what's up? And then Gypsy said her mother was fine, and they acted like nothing was wrong and seemed apparently completely normal from what the mother and her Nick's stepdad had said about their interactions.
Right. She's like totally not dead.
Right. She's like totally fine. Like, don't even
not dead.
worry about my mom because she is living. She's living. So when they arrived at their home, Nick's stepfather also said that he couldn't tell that anything was wrong. Both of them acted completely normal, and he said that the only thing that stuck out to him was that it was weird that Gypsy was wearing a wig. That was it. So, which is not that weird, but apparently they were like not very nice wigs. I mean, I've seen pictures of these wigs, so it's like, I guess you can tell that she's wearing a wig, but like that was the only thing. Yeah. Which like isn't a weird thing, because she would wear a lot of wigs. She had quite a few. So it's
right. She shaved her head though, right? Mm-hmm. Like she was.
Well, Dee Dee did.
Diagnosed with leukemia, correct?
Well, that's what Dee Dee claimed, and she was being treated for.
She didn't have it, but like she shaved her head in anticipation that she would lose her hair.
Right.
Did she go through chemo?
I honestly don't know.
Did she go through actual chemo? That would be awful.
That'd be really something. I don't know if she actually ever did, but I know she was on, like, she had a whole closet full of medications that she was like on, and
yeah, I understand that, but like, would she have lost her hair anyway if she didn't shave her head? But like, I guess like,
I don't think so.
You know, if she's wearing a wig, like that's fine.
No, of course, and I'm not saying that it was weird, like from like my standpoint. I'm just saying that like Nick's stepfather said that was the only thing he noticed, meaning they were not being weird in the slightest.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb on Nick's father's part. Right.
So, a day or so later, Nick received a package in the mail, and the return address said Blanchard. So the night of the stabbing, they cleaned off the knife and sent it through the mail to Nick's parents' house. They literally just put it in a package and shipped it off to Nick's house. And his parents had, because I mean, Gypsy, her reasoning behind that was like, Nick initially wanted her to take it on the bus with them, like take it in her backpack, but Gypsy said she had never ridden on a bus before, so she didn't know if she was going to be able to like get it on the bus, and didn't want to be found with this like knife. So she was like, well, people order knives online all the time, so like if you put a knife in the mail, like it's not going to cause any red flags or anything.
That's
so
kind of smart, because I think opening mail is a federal offense.
Yeah.
So like, I'll give it to her.
Right. It's
Yep.
not like the dumbest idea,
That's
but
a smart thing.
yeah. So
Dumb.
hang on. Yeah. So his parents had no idea, and they didn't open his mail. They just handed it to Nick, and they were like, "Here's this package," and so they had the murder weapon now. And they didn't know that was a thing. They didn't know that was what the package was until later on in questioning.
Surprise! It's the murder weapon.
Right. It's a knife. So
What's that vine? It's like, what do you have?
A knife!
And he just runs away.
No. Yes. They also had stolen a little over $4,000 in cash from Dee Dee, and also shipped that to them.
$4,000?
Yeah.
Was that their like? Was that their getaway money?
I mean, yeah, I think it was everything that Dee Dee had. I think it was like all the money that was, raised and, donated and whatever to Gypsy. So, I mean, it was Dee Dee's money, but also Dee Dee wasn't working. So it was really Gypsy's money. But anyway, they took it.
Also, Dee Dee was dead.
Right.
So.
Also that. And it's some cash, so why not friggin' take it? So I get that.
Also, like, $4,000 will get you through, like, what, 2 months max?
I mean, if you're
a little savvy, maybe 4, maybe 6.
I don't know.
If you really stretch it.
Sure.
Like, food costs money.
That's true. I mean, they were living with Nick's parents.
Their parents, but
Yeah.
like.
But anyway, I mean, that's what they had,
That's just not going to sustain you for very long.
Oh, of course not, but that's what they had. And they were like, we got to get away somehow. So they did.
Uh-huh.
So on June 15th, the police in, I don't know how to say this word.
Wahoo?
Waukesha? I don't know.
I want Waukesha.
Waukesha County, Wisconsin. They raided Go to John's family's home in Big Bend and took Gypsy and Nick into custody on the charges of murder and felony armed criminal action. The pair were extradited back to Missouri and held on a $1 million bond.
Could you imagine being the parents?
Having literally no friggin' idea.
No idea.
You're like, oh, I'm just picking up my son and his girlfriend from the bus station, and then the police are like, come with me, you fucking murdered this bitch's mom. Are you dead? Are you kidding? Oh my God, I'd be so pissed.
Also, like, I'm just imagining them going in for questioning. It's like, did you notice anything weird? Like, no,
I noticed she was wearing a wig. I noticed she was wearing a wig, and I thought that was pretty weird, but
like, that was it. But geez, oh heck, I didn't think they were murdering people and stuff.
Right.
So wow.
Yeah. Oh my God. So they're taken, and now they're being held on $1 million bond. So
sure.
Although friends of Gypsy and Dee Dee's were initially relieved to hear that Gypsy had been found alive, because, now they didn't know if Gypsy was dead or alive. This Facebook post was like, I raped her innocent daughter and stabbed that bitch and whatever, all those things. So they were like, sweet, Gypsy's alive. But the Springfield sheriff warned in a press conference that, quote, things are not always as they appear. And this was like a big thing, obviously. And, it was basically foreshadowing the news that would soon be reported. And friends and neighbors saw the video of Gypsy walking in handcuffs and began to realize that Dee Dee had lied about, like, they were like, Gypsy's walking? Like, how does Gypsy walk? She has muscular dystrophy. She's lived in this wheelchair all her life. She has all these illnesses. How is she walking in handcuffs? So there's all these questions in everyone's head, like, what was a lie? What was the truth? Who can I trust? Like, it was just a gigantic question mark for everyone involved in their lives.
Right. But, it was probably a miracle from God.
Sent from above. Thank God. That girl can walk. Praise the Lord. But no, I don't think they were thinking that. I think they were like a little savvy to Dee Dee lying.
Sure.
No, I know. So now we're gonna take a little turn to Gypsy and Nick's interrogation, and it was like the difference between their two like questioning like interrogation sessions are so interesting, and we're gonna get into that. But so let's start with Gypsy. So they left Gypsy in a room with a couch and a blanket for a while, and they were talking to her as if nothing was wrong at first. They asked her what she wanted, like to eat or drink. They were like, anything special to eat? Like, are you hungry? They wrapped her in a blanket. They gave her a pillow. And, you know, she was talking to this guard before the guy who was interrogating her got there. He was, did I say guard? Did I say,
You said guard.
Okay, cool. So she was talking to this guard, and they were kind of joking about like how it's so weird that she's in handcuffs, and she literally even said like, I didn't do anything, I didn't kill nobody, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I didn't do nothing, I'm a good girl, I don't know why. Like, she was like going on and on about like why she doesn't know why she's in handcuffs, and it was just a little weird.
Like, all right, but you know exactly why you're in handcuffs.
Right. And
Come
so
on.
the detective just giggled along with her, which I also thought was a little weird and creepy. I mean, I guess you can't like let her know that you're
you have to
on
keep
to
up the
her.
charade.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the whole thing. But it was just the whole interaction, like this whole video of her being interrogated is, I mean, obviously public and on YouTube. So if you're interested to watch it, like, go ahead. It's really interesting. But so basically, she was finally, I guess, introduced to the detective who was going to start questioning her about everything. And he asked her what her date of birth was, and Gypsy said 1995, which was not correct. And she explained the whole Katrina situation, and like how she was like, oh, I thought it was 1991, but it's actually 95, and blah blah blah, and there was a mistake, and my papers were washed away in Katrina. So Gypsy really didn't know how old she was, like, even up until this point.
Wait, so she says she's born in 95.
Yeah,
It's 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So really, she's 24 years old. But how old does Dee Dee claim she is? Does Dee Dee claim that she's 20, or does she claim that she's younger?
Well, she claimed that her birth year was 95.
But I thought that she kept like widening that gap.
She did. I mean, from when she was really, when she was really young, like when Dee Dee was, or when Gypsy was actually 10, she would say she was actually 8, or like, you know, something like that. Or she would just keep making her younger and younger, and then she would move to different places, and so,
Right.
you know, people didn't know how old Gypsy was and whatever, and it got to the point where it was, you know, a 4-year gap.
But that's like the max it got to.
I guess.
Like, I thought that even when she was like 20 and 24, that she was still claiming that she was in her teens.
Well, I mean, it got to the point where Dee Dee had to have a birth certificate. You know, Gypsy got old enough to where she like needed to see her birth certificate at some point. Like, you know, with the few instances where we talked about like her going to meet that guy or whatever, and Dee Dee had to like, you know, show the birth certificate to be like, she's underage, you creep, like, I'm gonna call the police. So at that point, Gypsy knows how old, or seemingly knows how old she is. You know what I mean?
Wait. Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so she shows the birth certificate to Nick.
No, not Nick. The other guy. There was another.
What
remember,
other
she
guy?
she met a guy at a like a sci-fi festival, and
Okay, so this was back.
yeah, part 1.
Okay. I thought she was showing it to Nick because I'm like, okay, they murdered her when she was, like, by 1995, she was 20. But, like, even if they met 2 years before that, she's still, like, a legal adult.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're thinking too much about it because it's
Sorry.
it's
I don't know.
okay.
Engineering brain,
Yeah,
math.
don't worry about the
timeline,
numbers so much. Basically, all I'm trying to
present.
say by talking about this is that even into the interrogation, Gypsy didn't know how old she was.
Wow, that's fucked.
Yeah.
So she's really 24
Yes.
is the bottom line here.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So the detective told Gypsy that her mother was dead, and she acted surprised and started to fake cry. It was really eerie to watch that.
Was it believable?
No. I mean,
Okay,
like,
so it
well,
was like-
I mean, I guess seeing it, knowing exactly what's going on, like, obviously it's
yeah.
not believable. I don't know. She's doing this whole like little girl, younger than I actually am act. So,
Well, you have to think that it's probably not an act at this point.
well, yeah, I mean, that is how she has been treated and raised and, you know,
Right.
forever. So, I mean, I don't know how much of it is an act, but obviously a portion of it is because she's obviously faking it.
Right.
So, anyway, so this went on for a while, her like fake crying and being like so distraught and what do you mean my mom's dead, blah. And she just kept insisting that she didn't know anything about it, and the interrogator just kept saying the same thing over and over again to try to get her to confess about how this situation is like a snowball that's rolling down a hill, and that the more lies she tells, the bigger the situation gets, and how everyone that loves her just wants to know why this happened. And she held on to this story that she and Nick had fabricated about how Dee Dee kicked her out and she needed to go live with Nick and blah, blah, blah. And she didn't know what happened after that. She held on to this for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. But
An hour? That's it?
yeah, it really didn't take long to crack her. But it also,
Wow.
it took much shorter time to crack Nick. And we're going to talk about that. But yeah, so basically after the interrogator told her that he knew exactly what had happened already and to stop lying, Gypsy started to point the finger at Nick. She was like, I'm not going to take any responsibility. This is Nick did this. Nick murdered my mother and I was just along for the ride.
Wow, so the investigator didn't actually know what happened.
I mean, they had a pretty good idea.
I mean, I'm sure, but
I mean, they had the text.
they bluffed.
They had the text. They had the you know.
Oh, they had the text. That's hard evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when they got the text, but I assume at this point they had, you know, at least some access to their messages because, you know, they had gotten to the point where they fully arrested. I mean, obviously they can arrest Nick for, you know, having Gypsy and like potentially kidnapping her, but that's not what they arrested him on. They arrested him on murder. So,
Right.
you know, I don't know. I don't know how that works, if that makes sense. If not, I'm just dumb. So I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, so she told the interrogator that she didn't know Nick was going to murder her mother at all. She didn't claim any responsibility. And so she basically just said Nick and her mom didn't like each other and Dee Dee was trying to keep them apart. And Nick didn't like that. And so basically she claimed that the night of the murder, she invited Nick over and Dee Dee didn't know, but they were supposed to be hanging outside. Like it was after Dee Dee had gone to sleep and she wanted to just hang outside with Nick, and Nick had gone inside and murdered Dee Dee. That's what she claimed. And
But did she claim that she didn't know that he actually murdered Dee Dee?
Well, she said she did know what was happening when it was happening, but she said she didn't want to go in and stop him because she was scared that he would do something to her. That's what she said. And I mean, the interrogator did ask, like, did you know that Nick was going to murder your mom? Like, was this a plan previous to, you know, that night? And she said no, she didn't know.
It's like, oh, wow. Your
Right.
text messages might suggest
Right.
otherwise.
Interesting, because
Interesting.
I know that the
Wow.
opposite is the truth.
Wow.
So she then claimed that Nick made her clean him off with baby wipes. He took her into her room, made her take all of her toys off of her bed, and he raped her. That's what she said. And
Wait, she has toys on her bed?
yes, and this is the only reason I bring that up as like a detail is because it comes up later when Nick is talking about when he's being interrogated. So that's just, she basically made it sound like she was this little girl and she had all these toys on her bed and he made her take them all off and then he raped her. Like that's what she said. And the interrogator then asked Gypsy what the bruises on her arms were from, and she said it was a hickey. And then the interrogator was like, there's no...
Dude.
Yeah, she's
no
like...
one gives hickeys on their fucking arm.
That's what he said. He was like, I'm a guy. I understand what hickeys are, and that is not true.
It's always on the neck.
Right, so...
Or not arms.
Yeah, we know it's not the arms. Anyway,
It's not the arms.
so then Gypsy was like, okay, he dragged me. He like grabbed my arm and he dragged me around the house and made me do things. That's what she said.
Okay, so this is after being like, it's hickey.
Yes.
And now she's like, let me substitute this other lie.
Yeah, so I can actually give you a little spoiler alert here. So Nick, and honestly, I believe Nick's side of the story like almost completely, if not completely, because I'll read it in a second. But Nick said it was a bite mark because Gypsy was into that sort of thing, like in bed. Like she liked when he would bite her, and she had a couple bite marks on her, and he said that one in particular on her arm was one that he had gotten a little too into and like bit her a little too hard. However, she enjoyed it. That's what he said. So
Wow.
the whole like he grabbed me and like made me clean and like do this stuff was not true.
Okay, so like also the bruising is in a mouth shape but not a hand shape.
Right. So
cool.
Yeah, I mean clearly she didn't have this planned out beforehand because
not a great plan.
Not great.
Not a great plan.
She also said that Nick made her clean the house naked. So that like Nick made her do that. So Nick's side of what happened that night paints what Gypsy is describing like just so much differently. And so when in this whole interrogation with Nick, it's really apparent that he functions at a much lower level than Gypsy. And I mean, not just than Gypsy, but just in general, like how he's 26, I believe, or maybe I believe he's 26 at this time. And he like sounds like a 14 or a 15-year-old. Like he very much.
So he's just stupid.
Well, he's on the spectrum. He is autistic and he has Asperger's and he's diagnosed with these. Yes, his mother tells the investigators that he does function at like a 15-year-old level and will pretty much for the rest of his life, and he does have these other diagnoses. So yeah, okay, like, he's not just
feel shitty about that, but also he murdered somebody. So like right. I don't.
And I also feel the same way. I do feel a little bad for Nick because he does say like he never would have done anything like this if it weren't for Gypsy, and I do believe that it was. I know, and the thing is
don't
like
believe that.
Right, the fact that it happened proves that it could have happened without Gypsy, but I do believe that it was the perfect storm.
Yeah,
I think it sucks a little bit for him.
I don't give a fuck. He murdered somebody.
That's true.
Don't care.
No, that's true.
There's and
I'm not saying he's the victim.
Anything ever.
No, I'm not saying he's the victim, and it is 100% wrong. But I do feel just a little bad for him. Just a little bit.
I don't.
Okay, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't like. If you need like the suggestion, you think the suggestion, like, is what pushed you over the edge. Like you would have gotten that suggestion at some point. Or you would have felt like you had. Like it's just a matter of time. If you have it in you. If you have it in you.
I don't agree with him, and I do think that he still murdered Dee Dee, so he's not a good person in my eyes. But I'm just saying it is apparent that he does function at like a much lower level than he should.
Sure,
is what I'm saying.
And, I'm glad that you are anti-murder.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you've clarified that. In this podcast.
Right.
We're very
But it does make for a damn good story. Sorry.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, so he basically, like, in the very beginning of the interrogation, kept up the story that he and Gypsy had planned of, Dee Dee threw Gypsy out, and he was just going there to pick her up, and, whatever. And so, basically, the interrogator told Nick that Gypsy loves him way more than he loves her because she told them the truth, and Nick needs to do the honorable thing for Gypsy and tell them what happened. That's all she said to make him crack. She was like, well, Gypsy loves you more because she told us everything, and if you really loved her, you'd tell the truth. And he was like, all right, I admit it.
If he really has autism and Asperger's, I would imagine he's extremely easy to manipulate.
Very true. And he like in the video, if anyone does want to watch it, I can link it somewhere, but it is like very easy. Like the conversation is a very low level. But anyway, so
yes, I would like to raise my hand.
Yeah,
as a listener, please do post that link.
Yes, I can post it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So he it took all of 15 minutes of talking to him before he told her everything that happened.
Her?
The interrogator.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking Gypsy.
Yeah, no, not Gypsy. So the interrogator said, "Did Gypsy know you were going to kill her mother?" And he said, "Honestly, she asked me to." That's like how it all started with his Yeah. So he said, I'll admit it, I did stab her mom. Just flat out.
Oh my God.
He said, I'll admit it, I did stab her mom. So,
Oh my God.
and he said the only reason he did was so that they could be together. And he wouldn't have done anything like that, like I said, if she didn't ask him to. And so the fact that he said this, and the fact that honestly I believe that to be kind of true, some people think that Gypsy could be dangerous because, you know, the only thing she's ever known is manipulation. So clearly she's very good at it herself because, you know, that's what she was brought up on. So people were like, well, maybe Gypsy is some evil mastermind, you know? But honestly, I don't think she's like this dangerous, cunning, like murderer. I think she really just was this trapped girl who felt she had no other option, in my opinion at least, which is why she's on our survival podcast, because she is a survivor. She did survive these terrible things that happened to her.
But she's also a criminal.
But she also did some really bad things.
Did some fucked up shit. You can't be going around killing people.
That's true. But, you know.
That's very true.
But
that's the law.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And
it's complex, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Nick claimed after he was finished killing Dee Dee, he knocked on the bathroom door 3 times and scratched it twice, which was a signal that they had created beforehand to let Gypsy know that it was Nick at the door. Gypsy then got into the shower, shaved her legs and her lady bits, and after that they went to the bedroom. After that they went her vulva. And after that they went to the bedroom and had consensual sex. That's what he says. And honestly, I believe that to be true.
Very unhairy sex.
Right. So when he talked about taking the toys off of her bed, he was kind of laughing about it. Like it was almost a funny moment that they shared that night. He was like, oh yeah, we had to take all of her toys off of the bed. And he was like kind of laughing, and the interrogator was like laughing along with him. And she was like really playing up these like lighthearted moments with him. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why I mentioned it, that Gypsy said that, you know, said it in a way that really painted him to be this like monster, because it wasn't that, at least from what Nick said. And like I said, I honestly believe Nick's side, because he has no reason to lie at this point. He's admitted he's murdered Dee Dee, and he is like, oh, Gypsy told them everything, so now I can tell them everything because it's already out there.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, so they took the toys off of the bed to have sex. They were laughing about it, blah, blah, blah. And so then after that, he said that she cleaned the house naked because she was in a hurry and wanted to get everything done. He also said that she didn't want him to help, so his fingerprints wouldn't get on anything. So, you know, if you remember, Gypsy was like, he made me clean the house naked. He dragged me around the house, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, she cleaned the house naked because we had just had sex and she was in a hurry. So that's what he says. Right. So, and like I said, Nick explained that the bruises on Gypsy's arm were actually just from the biting, like we talked about. So, he told the interrogator that Gypsy was the one that actually bought the knife, or she didn't buy it, she stole it from Walmart, and apparently she was able to get it from I just said that, from Walmart.
Oh my God.
So she got it from Walmart.
Murder sponsored by Walmart.
Right. So, you know, again, Gypsy's claiming she had nothing to do with it. She had no idea this was going to happen. But in reality, Gypsy's the one that supplied the knives, the glove, and unlocked the door, and they were texting about it.
Did she buy everything from Walmart? Like the gloves?
No, the gloves were already in the house.
Did she get a good deal on the knife?
She stole it. She got the best deal.
Oh, right.
She got the best deal. It was free. So the fact that Gypsy could actually walk but was forced to be in a wheelchair was discussed, but both of them said that their reasoning behind murdering Dee Dee was that they could be together, which I don't understand, because that wasn't the reasoning. I mean, it was partly, but the reasoning was Dee Dee was...
You could just run away.
Well, yeah. And so Nick did talk... We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Nick did say, like, Gypsy was completely opposed to the idea of just running away. And that's why he felt that he had to murder Dee Dee, which is not right, but that's what he said. So Nick's parents blame Gypsy because he never would have done it if it wasn't for her claiming, or they claimed. And so did Nick. But anyway, that's just what they say. So let's move on to court. So in court, they obviously showed all of the text messages and everything else between her and Nick. They had every piece of evidence they needed to convict both of them. It was very much like an open and pretty much closed case in that respect. And everything about Dee Dee did come out in court. Her defense attorney gathered up all of her medical documents and pieced together what was actually going on. He also spoke to Bernardo Flasterstein, who was the doctor who did suspect that Dee Dee had Munchausen by proxy, but never did anything about it, like actually.
How does that guy feel?
I mean, I guess like an ass. How could you not?
Right.
Like, I mean, the entire...
But also, like we said in the last episode, how can you suspect child abuse and do nothing about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It's insane.
It's
but
like, I just forgot about it,
Who knows what was going through that man's mind? I have no idea. But
yeah. Yeah, I'm fixated on this guy. Like, fuck this guy.
No, absolutely.
Sorry.
I mean, honestly, the entire like medical world that Gypsy was involved in failed her. Every single doctor that she ever encountered failed her in some respect, and in the biggest way possible. So everyone did. Like, even though her dad was, not in the best situation with Dee Dee and like felt like he couldn't do anything, he also failed her,
Right.
He could have done more. The doctors could have done more. They could have looked at it a little harder, and clearly the signs were very much there. So it's like this, I mean, I do feel bad for Gypsy. I do, 100%. But it's, she'd made the wrong call, but I do feel so bad for her.
Somewhat of a wrong call.
Yeah, just like a little wrong call. But yeah, anyway, so this is really the first time that anyone had got to hear from Gypsy, is like this time. And she said that anytime they went to the doctor, her mother would do all of the talking, and Dee Dee would give Gypsy a Barbie doll and basically would make it look like she's this like simple-minded child who's just playing with a Barbie doll and can't speak for herself, when really that wasn't the case. Dee Dee told Gypsy that when the doctor would examine her, to stay in her wheelchair, stay calm, and to just play with her Barbie doll. And all Gypsy knew about her health was that she could walk. So she didn't know that she was literally completely healthy. I think the only thing that's wrong with Gypsy health-wise is that I believe she has like a lazy eye. Like, she has like a very slight thing with her eye or something like that. But every single other thing that she was quote unquote diagnosed with and being treated for was a complete lie.
Wow. And how many things was she diagnosed with again?
Oh my God, so many things. And it's further up in my notes, so I can...
Yeah, find it. Like, is it 15 or 20 things? Like, I remember it being an extremely long list.
Okay. So, this is, again, a reminder of the list that Gypsy was diagnosed with and being treated for. So, Dee Dee said that Gypsy had a mental capacity of a 7-year-old. So she was slow, or mental retardation. She had epilepsy, impaired vision and hearing. She was paraplegic, GI reflux, muscular dystrophy, anemia, hypoventilation, asthma, multiple allergies, leukemia, incontinence, lung disease, and a heart murmur. So those are all the things that Gypsy was being treated for.
I know. Again, the craziest one to me is leukemia.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's that's something you should test for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
For the medical professionals.
Right.
Perhaps test for leukemia, a cancer that is deadly.
Right. So Gypsy said at the time of the murder, she wasn't thinking about anything. She said it may have been because she was on a lot of medications, and on Xanax, she didn't feel anything at all. She said she was scared, but felt like nothing was real. And, which isn't really, an excuse. And she said that in her interview. She was like, I know it's not an excuse, but I was on all these medications. I didn't feel anything. I was on Xanax. And,
What else was she on?
I have no idea. Just a laundry list of medications. And part of the defense, I believe, was so victims of Munchausen by proxy can lose hold of reality at times. And, that's not so crazy to think of that she did, because she did grow up in a completely different reality from the rest of the world. She was kept completely isolated and didn't know that the amount of control her mother had over her was anything but normal. So, of course she has no grasp on what she did and what it really means, and she didn't think she was going to get caught or anything like that. She has no idea what the real world is like.
Right.
So, yeah. So on July 5th, 2016, the court announced a surprise pretrial hearing for Gypsy.
What?
What?
I'm sorry. Why? I'm just like announcing that. I'm like imagining.
Surprise!
Yes. Surprise! Your court trial.
Pretrial hearing.
What? Why did they make it a surprise?
I don't think. Well, surprise to the media.
Oh, okay.
Not to Gypsy. They knew about it.
I was like, in what world
So,
is this like a...
No.
You show up your cell, you're holding cell.
Surprise, bitch. Hope you're ready. Little confetti machine.
Yes.
Oh my god. So... Oh, yeah. So, where am I? Oh, so basically Gypsy was taking a plea bargain. She was,
Yeah,
she didn't want to go. Playing. Yeah, she didn't want to go to court. So her charge had been reduced to second-degree murder, and acting knowingly or acting with another person who knowingly caused the death of her mother by stabbing her.
I don't know. I think there's a pretty good case for first degree, don't you think? There's like some serious premeditation in her case.
That's true, but she wasn't the one that did the murder.
Yes, but she's being charged with second degree murder or not conspiracy?
No, second degree. So, no,
like
I
aiding
agree.
and abetting? But she didn't actually commit murder. Right.
But, so, I mean, they took the plea because they didn't want to go to trial because it is a little bit of a muddy, where we draw the line here, Sure. So they took the plea. And she pled guilty and was sentenced to 10 years.
What? 10 years for second degree murder?
Well, yeah. So she would have to serve 85% of her sentence before she was eligible for parole, which, I mean, it's
8.5. So really 8.5.
Yeah. I mean,
years for literally killing somebody.
Well,
like, I understand. So maybe this was the correct sentence in this case, but the fact that what's the definition of second degree murder? I think that third degree is manslaughter, so it's accidental. But like second degree is, I think you have to at least show intent to murder. And then first degree is premeditation plus intent. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, well, so what her attorney...
My phone's turned off.
That's fine. But so what her attorney was saying is, I believe they bumped it down to second degree because it was a really complicated situation, and she was, an abused child and also adult, and...
I get it.
Yeah.
This is not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that anyone else that is charged with second degree murder could also be sentenced to the same amount of time in jail. And how do you sentence somebody to only 10 years when they intended to kill somebody and did?
Well, I mean, every sentence has a range, first degree murder, isn't it
sure,
25 to life?
Why is it only 10?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
riddle me that.
Well, I think it's probably, for cases like this where the person who, did this terrible, awful thing had no other choice, or, it's a really special circumstance. I don't know. It's a good thing that honestly, I think 10 years is a sufficient amount of time for her. She spent her entire young, childhood and adult life in worse than prison, being abused. So, right. Which,
Okay. I'm just bringing up that point.
For sure.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. But so, And, you know, at the beginning, the death penalty was on the table, which is why they didn't want to go to court and they didn't want anything to go further than that. So they took the plea, and and Gypsy said that 10 years of jail was better than 10 years with her mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Right. But so Gypsy's goal is to completely start over. She wants to just be reborn, and Crumb is dreaming.
Crumb is dream yipping.
Oh. Oh my god. Okay. Well,
We'd love to feature yips on this podcast.
Crummy's dreaming, and that's fine. Anyway, so yes, back to the prison sentence.
Oh, yes.
So Nick was found guilty of first-degree murder in November of 2015. No, November 2015? I don't know. At his court hearing, and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And prosecutors didn't pursue the death penalty for Nick. But he is in prison for life. So there's that.
Right.
So in an interview Nick gave from prison, he said that he was torn between his dark side and his good side. He said that part of him was telling him to just take her and run, but Gypsy had made it very clear that she wasn't willing to run away. And the other side of him wanted to be with her so badly that he was willing to do anything. Which, you know, isn't a good excuse, but you know, I think
This is where his head was at.
Yeah, this is where his head was at. I think he did feel torn, and he was like, I know this is the wrong thing to do, but this is the only way. So, you know, that's just what he said. So anyway, so Rod and Gypsy's stepmother were able to visit her in jail, and this was also recorded and, you know, in a documentary about Gypsy. And it was really interesting to watch her interact with her dad because, I mean, she obviously hasn't seen him in a number of years and probably hadn't talked to him in I don't even know how long. And, you know, Dee Dee was constantly feeding how terrible of a person he was. And obviously now Gypsy knows that Dee Dee lied about friggin' everything. So it was just interesting. And she hugged him and she was like, Daddy. And he was like, oh, you're getting so big. And she's like, I know, I'm almost as tall as you. And it was like a really, like, just a
This
weird.
is in prison?
This is, yeah, visiting in the courthouse, like, from jail, I believe.
Wow. What a scene.
It was weird. So Gypsy let him know that she spends her time outside and she's exercising and walking around. And her feeding tube port has finally healed up. And,
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Detail.
Right, feeding tube also.
Jesus.
And Gypsy said that she's just happy it's all over. And Rod said he blames himself for everything that happened to Gypsy, but Gypsy told him that she never blamed him for anything. And she just kept reassuring him that she would be a good girl, like in prison. And she just keeps saying the words good girl, and it really just does really show you how young her mind is. I mean, not that she's like, she really does have the mind of a 7-year-old, but like how she has adopted these phrases and like how she was treated that way for so long. So like obviously it's going to spill into her talking and whatever, but she is very smart. Like she's not stupid.
Sure. But yeah, she is 24, but like also
was treated like a 14-year-old
for 24 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, her father and stepmother and nephew agree Gypsy has suffered enough, and they have rejected Dee Dee in death and say that her ashes should be flushed down the toilet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they actually do that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like whatever house that gets flushed down is going to be haunted for quite some time. Spooky.
Yeah.
Right. Dee Dee's going to haunt that toilet.
Oh, God,
Could you imagine?
I don't want that toilet.
Shitting on a haunted toilet.
No thanks.
What would happen?
It would flush on its own.
Oh.
My mom actually had that happen to her.
What?
Not like while she was sitting on it, but she was like in a restroom that was like not an automatic flush, and she was by herself, and the toilet flushed behind her, and she was in like a haunted building and blah blah blah. But we're getting so sidetracked.
Whoa, no, okay, let's get sidetracked because if you're shitting on the toilet,
could you imagine?
And it flushes.
Yeah.
Woo.
No, it's a little spooky.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Go back.
Anyway, roll back the tapes. So when asked why Gypsy didn't tell anyone what was going on, she said, I couldn't just jump out of the wheelchair because I was afraid and I didn't know what my mother would do. I didn't have anyone to trust, which is true. She didn't have anyone. And as part of her mom's abuse, Dee Dee would keep her isolated from her friends and family, and, you know, she would monitor her computer usage. Obviously, they had that joint Facebook account, which is what Dee Dee believed was her only access to the internet and whatever.
Right.
So, and, you know, Dee Dee even isolated Gypsy from Aaliyah, who was, you know, her only friend. Dee Dee would get really mad when Gypsy would say that she wanted to go hang out with her by herself, and she basically told Gypsy that, you know, she was a bad influence and she was not a true friend. And so that, you know, isolated Gypsy from her. And she said, I didn't reach out to my dad because I grew up with my mom saying all these horrible things about him. So, and she couldn't go to the police because of all those papers that Dee Dee filed, and she had no one. So it's crazy. But she says since being in prison, she feels free from her mother and just in general, and has been able to rebuild her friendship with Aaliyah and her relationship with her dad. Rod said that he and his family are already planning for her release, and she'll always have a home here. We'll put her on the right path, is what he says. And so Gypsy, yeah, which is really nice. I mean, also you kind of owe her one, you know?
Right. So she'll get out when she's like 33?
32.
32.
Yeah.
Well, that's with 8.5 years. She gets parole.
Yeah, so she'll be eligible for parole.
Assuming she doesn't actually serve her whole sentence.
Right, so she'll be eligible for parole in 2024, and she'll be 32 at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. But, like, that's not that old.
Could you imagine starting your life at 32?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, that's better than nothing, I guess.
Better,
you know,
than
it's
nothing,
better than
but
spending
still
her entire life in prison.
Awful.
Or
Yeah.
with Dee Dee, you know?
Yeah, either
So,
or. Not good options.
Not good. So I guess this is the best case scenario, question mark? I don't know. Anyway, Gypsy was asked in an interview if she was glad that her mother wasn't here to abuse her anymore. Sorry, my throat is so hoarse. She said yes, she's glad that her mom isn't here anymore, but she isn't glad that she's dead. She didn't want to kill her. And she said, if I had known then what I know now, I would have reached out to anybody for help. And Gypsy admits to missing her mother, but describes the feeling as complicated. She said, there are some times that I'm angry at her. There are times I think she's so manipulative, and how could you do that to your child? And then I think of other times when she was just so desperate for someone to love her. Regardless of all that, I still love her, and I still miss her because she was my mother. And,
wow.
Yeah. And that's it.
After all that.
Yeah. That is where we have to pretty much wrap it up, because there's not really much else other than that. She's in prison still, and she will be eligible for parole in 2024, like I said.
And Nick will
Nick is
the rest of his life.
Nick
How
is
old was he when he went?
He was 29, 26, 29.
In his 20s.
In his 20s, his late 20s. Yeah, he spent the rest of his life in prison, no possibility of parole. But Gypsy has the possibility and will probably get out in 2024. So, and who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens with her if she does another interview, or if she talks about her time in prison. Maybe we'll, even if we can't do a full episode on it, maybe we can like touch on it in the beginning of an episode. We'll see.
Right.
But then again, that's assuming we're doing the podcast in 2024. So we'll see.
Check the watch.
Yeah, we got time.
But yeah, no, I was saying before this podcast, she should write a book. Mm-hmm. She should write a book about where that experience took her mentally.
Yeah.
Would be a bestseller, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy it and read the shit out of it.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, you know, I mean, she can obviously get out of prison and like have a normal job if that's what she chooses. But also if she wrote a book and like talked to people about certain things and like went around and did talks like so many survivors do, which is, you know, incredible, that would also be cool and good for her. It'd be cool. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know. I'd be interested. I'm
just saying, if she writes the book and makes enough money off of it, then you just don't have to work.
Yeah, that's chill.
That's nice.
That's 32?
Pretty good outcome for you.
To retire at 32? Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
So anyone want to write my book?
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, do you have anything you want to say that's good that happened to you this week, or anything interesting?
What's good to happen? Well, I'm going on vacation to San Francisco.
Yes, you are.
I'm driving, not flying.
Hell yeah. 6 hours, baby.
We're going golfing. And I rented a car.
Hell yeah.
And it feels very adultish.
But that's cool. You're going to see your family, and that'll be really fun, and you'll get to golf, and you'll get to
exciting
sit
for those who enjoy golf.
Not me.
I'm a golfer.
Nah. I'll do mini. Maybe. We'll see.
You'll do putt-putt.
Yeah, I'll putt.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then I'll get bored. But yeah, you get to sit in a hot tub and a pool, and I'm so jealous. I would give my left tit to sit in a hot tub right now. No, I wouldn't. That's too much of a sacrifice. I would do less than that, but I definitely want to.
You'd do half a left tit.
Yeah, I'd give my nip. And that's that on that.
One left nip.
Yeah, just the nip. Anyway, my good thing is Crumb. She's sick. Not sick, like coughing sick. She's like cool.
She doesn't have illness.
No, she's healthy.
She's just sick.
She's just like sick, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's very cute.
She's adorable.
Yep.
And she's asleep, thank God. But yeah, that's good. Anything else to say?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
Cool.
Where could I follow us on Instagram?
Oh yeah, I literally almost closed this out without doing that. Okay, so if you want to follow us on Instagram, I post stories and links and pictures and videos sometimes of the cases we cover, and you can follow us at nottoday_podcast. If you or anyone you know has a story that is interesting, I will take any interesting story. It could be survival. It could be
we have
it can
one.
Be murder.
We will add to it and get a listener episode going.
Hell yeah, beach. So any story, send us an email at notodaypodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, our handle is nottodaypodcast, but the T on the end of podcast is a 3 because
that makes sense.
It makes sense. Am I missing anything? Is that it? Oh, if you enjoy listening to...
Do we have a MySpace?
If you enjoy listening to our banter, go to Apple Podcast and leave us a review, rate us. It helps us out a ton. So thank you so much for listening. We hope you come back for the next one, and just keep breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.